Please welcome Taylor Brown from Sage to the stage.
So I'm excited to be here today. First, I'm going to give a little bit of background so you know why I'm qualified to talk about what we're going to be discussing. And then I'll talk a bit about Sage Intacct and how we can help impact organizations and make sure that you're not only achieving your mission, but you're able to track that success to actually seek out additional funding sources and manage your expenditures effectively. All right, so a couple pieces. I am a professor at the University of Texas at Austin on their accounting team, which is the #1 accounting program in the country. I actually started at Amazon on the Finance Development Leadership Rotational Program. And during that experience, I got to really see what it was like to manage the back office for a large corporation. Now, at that time, you would be surprised how many manual processes that we were actually doing up in Seattle at HQ and how many things were on Excel. And they were in the process of building some of their own accounting systems. That was almost a decade ago, so I hope that a lot of those processes have been efficiently managed at this point. But it really sparked an interest in me in looking at how we can invent and simplify processes. At that time, I didn't realize that there were solutions available to organizations and for-profit businesses that could manage all of these different workflows in the background to make sure that we're getting the right information to key decision makers urgently and in real time. The other piece that I always like to mention is that when we think about finance technology, we have to realize that although accounting is viewed in many cases as a cost center, it is one of the core functions that actually sits between all different areas of the business. As an accounting professional, you get to talk to the inventory or supply chain team. You work with IT, you talk to marketing, you work with sales. Nothing doesn't go forward without accounting actually touching on that area and actually tracking those transactions. As I tell my students, accounting is the language of storytelling for your organization. And if you don't have a system that allows you to tell that story quickly and effectively, you can't make decisions proactively, and you can't seek out an organization to actually invest in your organization and constituents to understand that the impact of what you're having. So I'm going to talk about how Sage Intacct can help your organization to do that today, focusing specifically on reporting. So Sage Intacct is a partner in the AWS ecosystem. We are actually the only ERP that is in the SMB to mid-market space. And when I say mid-market, we work with organizations of all different sizes, but that focuses on nonprofit. We have about 20,000 plus customers, and a third of those are nonprofit organizations. And we've been working with nonprofits since about 1999. During that time, we have developed workflows and processes to help you with, of course, your core accounting, your payroll, your planning, your forecasting, so that we can get information to all the teams that rely on financial data in detail to make decisions. I also always encourage people to not just think about accounting through dollars, but through statistical information as well. So when you think of headcount, when you think of the number of maybe constituents that you're touching, when you think about the projects that you're managing, there are unit metrics that we can capture utilizing financial data and statistical information to get into that detail. But if you don't have a system that is cloud-based with open APIs to integrate, that is able to tag information at a granular level past just the standard class that you might be seeing in some of your smaller systems, it's very hard to get to the information you need to drive forward and achieve your mission. So Sage Intacct can capture and do all of those things. Now, you've heard a bit about how AI is impacting what we're doing from a mission standpoint with the Earth, which is amazing to learn about in here. But of course, AI is also something that we can use on a day-to-day basis in our main business functionality. So Sage Intacct has been working with AI for 8+ years. Obviously, it's been a hot button item. People have been talking about it a lot in the past few years, but this isn't something that is new to us. And being able to provision and work within the AWS ecosystem has allowed us to accelerate the types of AI functionalities that we have within our solution. So we have generative AI tools like Sage Copilot, allowing you to actually leverage our help and ask questions, ask how to build out reports. We have new functionality coming out about accelerating that time to close, which we'll be releasing during our customer conference in June. We have things around OCR capabilities, so processing vendor bills, making sure that they're auto-created in the system and then reassociated with your purchasing transactions. We also get into insight around anomaly detection. So as you think about approving transactions, what are the materiality thresholds? And does tagging look atypical based on historical data in detail? Finally, we can even look at things like time tracking. Can we suggest maybe what these time tracking instances should look like, which is important to make sure that we get that granular detail when we think about our grant funding and how our resources are allocated to those different grants. Now, all of this is important because what we're trying to do is accelerate that process of actually tracking transactional information so you have more time to actually report on the detail and analyze it. And I'm not just talking about standard reports like the statement of revenues and expenditures or pulling out the reports on functional expenses. I'm talking about being able to really understand how you are performing to your mission, report on that to your board of directors, report on that to the management team, and then make adjustments to your processes. But you can't do that if your close process is taking weeks or too many days, right? We don't want to just get that information mid-month. We want to get it early and in advance. And so we take a lot of that lift of processing those transactions seamlessly in order for you to get to that part of your mission. The other piece is you need to be able to utilize a solution that integrates with different platforms. Everything's not just housed in your accounting solution. We have homegrown tools, we have payroll solutions, we have CRMs, employee expense management tools that we need to pull data and insight from. And if you're on a platform that lacks open APIs or that has a limited marketplace of partners with pre-built integrations or doesn't have their own iPaaS tool to actually build out integrations to custom solutions or can do FTP or actually utilize CSV templates easily and help modify those if you need to do that from a data standpoint to make that importing process easier, you are adding days and hours to the workflow for accounting to get you the information that you need. If you don't have controls in your system, if you don't have permissions, segregation of duties, if you don't make sure that the right people have access to the right detail through employee user licensing so you can see dashboards, filter, and adjust reports, then you can't even trust the data that you're seeing, and you can't even get it to the right parties, which is why this information is so impactful. And it's important that when we're thinking about the ecosystem as a whole, we understand that although accounting is a cost center, accounting's information helps drive revenue or funding for the business. So some of the ways that we do that is through visualizing our data in detail. I'm an accounting nerd, obviously. I'm a CPA. I've been at PwC, I've been at Amazon, I've been at Oracle NetSuite, now I'm at Sage. I love accounting, I love tracking information. I think it's interesting, and I know I'm in the minority on that. So we need to figure out how to get this data to people and not just get it to them, but make sure that they understand that. And we do that by visualizing data in detail. I always look at my students, and there's different ways that they process information. Maybe it's auditory, maybe they need to read their book, whatever. And it's similar with this type of data in detail as well. So we provide different types of reporting tools to get that information out. Whether it is Power BI tools that has AI built into that functionality, whether it gets into transactional analysis, potentially leveraging some SQL functionality to build out pivot tables and things directly in the system, whether it's for a point-and-click drag-and-drop report building, whether it's actually creating a visual where you can zoom in and have your numbers enlarged if you're having vision problems. We're creating a situation where the information that you receive is easy to be digested by non-financial personas. And as we know, many of the resources at our organization fall into that category. This allows us to move again beyond spreadsheets. If you have a system that you have to export data out into Excel, you are missing an opportunity to automate your workflows and processes with a more powerful system. What we are finding is that when we do this, we get rid of many of the data migration issues that we see, not being able to trust our detail through manual data entry, having to pull things out of our current financial system and adjust them from a reporting standpoint in the platform. And customers, just like our customer here, see that they have an expedited workflow on Sage Intacct that saves them time and allows them to have more flexible reporting. And what this equates to is dollars. Now you can seek out additional grant funding, funding sources from foundations, look at your donors in more detail, your tithing, your ticketing, whatever type of nonprofit that we're dealing with. Now you have the detail to really try to drive more revenue, to achieve your mission, and then to manage those expenditures. And you're getting all that information in real time and even forecasting and planning out for the future. Allowing you now to have a cloud-based solution that allows you to collaborate with the team from wherever you're at, look at your reporting in more depth and detail, dive into those analytics, and then get that information to make sure that when you talk to your board and when you talk to your donors, that they feel comfortable with the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, so you can have stories like the one we just heard, talking about the additional funding and the millions that they're getting because they were able to demonstrate their value when they sought out that detail. I appreciate your time. I'm excited to be back here, back in my home base, but thank you again.